So the White House just got a bit of a makeover. I don't know if you could say it's a very good one, but it's definitely a makeover. So as we know, Jackie Kennedy, famous for really her lasting impact on the White House was her implementation of the White House Rose Garden. It's pretty much like a staple of American democracy. We see all these pictures of presidents and world leaders meeting and signing bills and talking in this rose garden. And Trump comes into power and he's like, nah, fuck that. It's getting demolished. And instead, we're going to replace it with basically the equivalent of like a McDonald's parking lot. We're going to show the picture on screen right now. It doesn't look very good to me. All the grass is gone, all the bushes, all the flowers, shrubbery removed. And instead, it's just like some tacky metal chairs and literally concrete. Micah, does this look good?
Sam, it's been Trumpified. Okay, the Rose Garden without any roses this time. It's also interesting. Doesn't it say on the floor somewhere like the White House or something like that? Like the grates. We'll show a picture of that. It has like words there, and it's interesting that it's American flags. Yeah, it's American flags that are on like the grates. And I guess the idea is like, oh, this is so patriotic, but it's like, well, rain is gonna like, and people are gonna step on American flags, and like rain's gonna drain through these things. I don't really know if that is what we want happening to the American flag. I don't know if it should be on the floor. Maybe I'm just a hater, but that was definitely an interesting design choice.
Well, so it's kind of an analogy for this entire administration. Like we have the flag getting trampled on by the people who are working in the administration every day. We have the seal of the president, the bald eagle looking towards peace with the arrows in one of its hand. That's also getting stepped on. That's right next to like the drainage system, presumably of the White House. Another analogy for this entire administration. I probably would not have put that on the ground. I don't know. That's got to be breaking flag code or something. But going back to the image from Johnny MAGA, this is a screenshot from one of Trump's biggest fans.
They're proud of this. That's the awesomest thing. Like they're like shouting it out. They're like, this is the best redesign ever. Trump's making the White House great again. And
Well,
like it just looks like shit.
it's just an example of like the D1 glazers that this guy has like on Twitter. First of all, this guy Johnny MAGA, he might not even be a real person. He doesn't have a profile picture. It's
He
just
probably
like
lives in Pakistan, bro. Like half of these guys live in Pakistan. Seriously.
yeah, it could also it could be a bot as well. We don't know anything about this guy, but basically he said Trump's rose garden patio is complete. The drainage grates are in the shapes of American flags, and there's a presidential seal in all four corners. Amazing job. And the picture he provides is like objectively a worse like a worse picture of what the White House looks like. The picture on the left is from, probably Biden's administration. It was like even like 4 months ago it looked like this with grass and it looks nice and bright and beautiful. And now it looks depressing, sad, gray, just very dreary. This is why are we doing this?
But this isn't the only White House renovations that Trump is making, right? There's also we'll show a picture of this, the expansion part of the White House. This is an AI image that you're showing right now, but like they're expanding the White House to have like a ballroom to make the White House look more like Versailles, which is the French palace where all the monarchs were killed during the French Revolution. And what I wonder is just like, it's so interesting for the party of the working class, right? The party that's against the bureaucrats, the deep state, the oligarchs, to be making everything gold, like everything look really chic and bougie. This is the only. This isn't the only place that's going to have gold everywhere. There's already gold all over the White House. I mean, there's gold in furniture. There's gold on the ceiling. There's gold on the walls. I think it's an interesting design choice.
So not only has Trump like come into power and turn, every president like does their little changes and adds their little signature touches to the Oval Office, but Trump basically added like a tacky gold, like obviously fake gold, palette all over the walls, all over the fireplace. Literally every square inch of the Oval Office has been turned into like basically his penthouse in what is it, in Trump Tower in New York City. That's what it looks like now.
Right.
But I also just want to say this picture that we're putting up, it is obviously AI generated. It's like it's a rendition of what this model would look like. I don't know how much was it, like $200 million that he said this is going to cost.
Yeah, but he says he and the other rich guys are paying for it. So
Right. And so like the party of saving money and like fiscal responsibility and spending our money only on things that Americans need, they decided that the money that they need to spend and contract, White House workers is the most important thing is a ballroom for Trump to throw big parties in. That's the most
right, because
important
all
thing.
this golden furniture they're buying actually is taxpayer dollars, which is just so extraordinary, right? Because Doge and the administration has said that funding cancer research is not worth the money, right? They've been working on a vaccine to reduce the prevalence of cancer. And a lot of people in the medical community said this was an incredibly high ROI, use of money. Like we could have seriously saved a lot of people from cancer. They said, actually, with our limited funds, this isn't the best use of our resources. We're going to be rededicating that funding to something else. Meanwhile, the White House is making lavish expenditures on golden furniture, on also, making the Qatari jet, which Trump has received and will personally be keeping once he leaves office. He's personally keeping it. We're going to be spending taxpayer dollars on making that plane nicer for him to ride in. Awesome. I love it.
Maybe some of the funds from the Qatari jet, maybe those are going to be used to build this gigantic ballroom, which, by the way, it dwarfs the size of the White House. Trump talks about restoring American excellence to the country and bringing back America's golden age. I didn't think he literally meant that he's going to put gold shit in the White House. I think that's what he means when he says golden age.
It has nothing to do with you being prosperous, right?
Yeah, no,
like,
it doesn't
we
mean
know
that.
like the real income,
yeah.
because of Trump's big beautiful bill, the real incomes of people in the bottom 50% of America are going to go down. They're going down. Rich people got a tax cut, upward redistribution of wealth. Poor people lost their Medicaid, and all of the tax breaks they receive are going to be expiring as soon as Trump leaves office. So the golden age has nothing to do with you being rich. It has everything to do with more things literally being gold. Paid for by you.
Honestly, knowing Trump, he could genuinely just not know what a golden age means. He could think that it's literally just putting a bunch of gold furniture in his house and then being like, "It's the golden age and we're back, baby." But like going back to the Doge thing, like as we know, Elon Musk and his 19-year-old cronies, one of them called Big Balls, they come into the government. They start slashing a bunch of stuff with chainsaws. One of those things was USAID, which is like a crucial funding platform for people who are living in famine, who are living in drought, who are living in poverty across the world. We like literally saving these people's lives. Many of them are children. So that gets cut. But instead, we're going to be spending money on a ballroom in the White House. Like
right. So it's like those videos of like African kids that are just like starving. That you see, or like just the poorest people in the world. And you're like, man, why won't somebody do something to help these folks out, especially somebody with means? And so actually we find out the U.S. government was doing some stuff for them. Like, for instance, getting the malaria nets to protect people from mosquitoes that carry malaria, which is very much a thing in Africa at night. These nets would stop mosquitoes from stinging these folks and basically killing them, because if you get malaria, it's not a good situation. We were spending like pennies on the dollar for these, buying a huge bulk of these resources, which were saving, hundreds of thousands of Africans' lives. Apparently, we don't have enough money for that anymore, right? Because we need to lower corporate tax rates and buy golden shit. I love it. It's awesome. Speaking about Big Balls is single-handedly responsible, apparently, for the unilateral invasion of D.C. by the president of the United States using the United States military. Sam, what's the story with that?
So Big Balls is, according to Elon Musk, a 19-year-old. I don't even think he's graduated college. And Elon Musk appointed him as a senior advisor to the Bureau of Diplomatic Technology, an advisor to the Department of State, advisor to Homeland Security, advisor to FEMA.
Bro, he's like Marco Rubio. He has like 45,000 job titles.
Well,
because they fired
I'm not even done. I'm not even done. He held positions at the U.S. Agency for International Development and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. I don't even know what that means, to be honest, but it's probably not good that one 19-year-old is the senior advisor to like 18 different
It's like half the government.
agencies.
Do you think he gets multiple paychecks for all of those jobs?
Well, apparently not, because his job is just to fucking destroy all of the agencies. So I don't know if he's getting paychecks for that. But he was recently, tragically, he was actually assaulted by some people who were carjacking. And Trump tweeted a picture of he goes by the name of Big Balls, so that's what we're going to call him. He tweeted a picture of Big Balls on the ground. There was blood covered. It wasn't a good sight to see. But Trump then justified that as means for literally federal, like taking over the D.C. Metropolitan Police and sending in the National Guard to Washington, D.C. And we're going to show a video of what Washington, D.C. currently looks like under Trump's base. I mean, it looks like the Hunger Games. Let's roll this clip. So as you can see, not great.
First of all, I'm a little bit confused by this because I was told by Donald Trump like 20,000 times that he couldn't bring in the National Guard on January 6th because Nancy Pelosi told him that he can't
Right.
do it. He told them no. But now Trump's bringing the National Guard. I don't think Nancy Pelosi's cool with it. I don't think she was even consulted. Somehow he has the capability to do that. It's almost as if he was lying whenever he said she stopped him somehow. There's no way that she could have done that. Also, I mean, this is just so interesting to me, like the timing of this, right? Because Trump is saying we need to invade DC. We need to get rid of all local control in DC. We need to use the military on American streets because crime in DC is totally out of control. Here's a few facts, though, that make me a little bit suspicious about that narrative. First, Trump's own Department of Justice said that crime in DC, violent crime, is at a 30-year low. Just this year, violent crime is down by 25% in the District of Columbia. And if we're looking at the violent crime rate, we're looking at the homicide rate in DC. What are the most comparable states in the country? States like Mississippi and Alabama. So here's my question to President Trump. If we're going to start invading places with the National Guard to get rid of crime, once you're done with DC, why don't you go to number 2 and number 3? Go to Mississippi and Alabama, please. Invade all the red states where we know crime is consistently the worst of the worst.
That's a great point. When Trump routinely says, like every single day, that he's going to send in the National Guard and clean up all this crime, all this homelessness, all these like illegals that are coming in and destroying the country, for some reason he thinks that those people are only in New York, LA, Chicago, and Washington D.C. When he talks about crime, he never mentions any of the actually like dangerous cities and states, like the red states that you just mentioned, probably because they're red states. And his real reason for sending the National Guard is to presumably take over the cities, make Democrats in those cities feel afraid, and literally hold it under military rule.
Right.
Because
I'm like,
it's
listen, if
because
you're
they're
going to invade
Democratic
DC,
cities.
I'm okay with it as long as you invade freaking Mississippi, bro. Like, just send the military on it. They need help over there. But, like, there's an interesting theory here. And it's such an interesting ideological view that this administration has, which is that, like, the solution to the criminal problems we have in this country is even more mass incarceration. Their idea is like, wow, what if we just locked up people for longer periods of time? We're in a country with one of the largest incarceration, actually, I think the highest incarceration population in the entire world, one of the highest per capita rates of imprisonment. We've been running a real life experiment in mass incarceration since the 1990s, whenever some Democrats and Republicans had the idea of the crime bill. They said, why don't we just lock everybody up for a very long time? And in this context, their idea is like, why don't we just double down on everything that we've been doing for the past 30 years that has not been working? Meanwhile, let's ignore all the countries like those in Europe that have extremely low crime rates and don't have the same approach to criminal justice, which is basically get armies of thugs employed by the government, send them on the streets, arrest people, and never let them out. That's a strategy that they've done the opposite of. It's worked very effectively. I don't know why we're so committed to doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, something that Trump seems to be very keen on doing is when he identifies a problem, his first reaction, his gut instinct is to just like send in the army or like send in the National Guard to fix it instead of maybe like identifying the root cause of some of these issues. Like homelessness is not an issue that you could just send in the military to solve. Like criminalizing all of these people and making homelessness illegal is not really the solution here. Like maybe we should try passing some like social spending bills that would be able to like decrease the amount of homelessness or like
Why don't we
if some
just
people.
house the homeless, bro? Like, okay, so you're homeless. Why don't we make you like home full? Like put you in a house.
I don't know why Trump's for like it seems very callous, cruel, and just like very it's heartbreaking to see him like literally go after these people. They don't want to be homeless. These people are choosing to do it, and Trump just says, nope, we're throwing them all in jail. They're all criminals. They're all destroying our city. Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. Like, homelessness is a huge problem. Whenever I'd walk to work in the downtown Houston, I'd see people defecating on the street. Right? Everybody's pissed off about homelessness. We want a solution. The solution is not just like putting more people with guns on the street. Like, you need to put the homeless somewhere, right? In housing, right? You can't just like, what are you gonna do? Like, shoot them, arrest them, put them in jail? You're just gonna put them in jail for being homeless? That doesn't seem like a very good solution. And you know, I guess there's this mindset that under martial law, we're safer. But martial law is not safe. Like the biggest threat to your health and safety has always been the government. abusive governments can take away all your rights. They can completely destroy your life. And we see around the world that the people that are like the least safe are the people like in countries like North Korea, where you have absolutely no freedom whatsoever. It's not because there's criminal gangs on the street. It's because there's gangsters called government officials, police officers, members of the military, which are policing your every single move. And so in like we know that many police officers engage in abusive activity. Now imagine what kind of oversight's going to be occurring when you have full-on martial law in D.C. overseen by the Trump administration, which seems to think that police brutality is a myth. I mean, this is the worst-case scenario.
Yeah, it just seems like the entire administration is just full of incompetent clowns. And speaking of incompetent clowns, the new head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, this guy is a Project 2025 author. He's part of the Heritage Foundation as their chief economist. And Trump previously fired the previous head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics,
Which he appointed initially, by the way, in
yeah,
his
he
first
appointed this
presidency.
person. He appointed this person. She reported job numbers that he just didn't like. He got mad. He threw a tantrum on Truth Social, as he always does. Fired off some mean tweets.
He said they were
went on the
fake
news.
and rigged.
Yeah, he didn't like these numbers, and they were just objectively true because of things like his horrible economic plans, like tariffs, which are hurting the American taxpayers, hurting the American economy. The job numbers did not come out as good as he was anticipating, and so he fired that person and replaced her with this guy who is a Product 2025 head author. Micah, you're someone who knows a lot about economics. Do you have any thoughts on this?
So I think it's crazy because for the longest time, something that's actually grounded our political discourse is basic economic facts. The Bureau of Labor Statistics releases unemployment figures, right? I mean, we have tons of government data that we rely on to have conversations about how the economy is doing that businesses rely on, right? Because you think about businesses, they're trying to see where demand is going to be in the future so they can plan for their products, so they can see how much risk they need to protect themselves from. These numbers are super important, not just for our politics, but also for our economy. And for the first time in American history, seemingly, we had a person that was fired for saying that the economy wasn't doing very well. And it's
Yeah.
remarkable because some of the figures that she released over her time in that position were being lauded by the administration. They were bragging about them. Literally, numbers that she released the day before Trump had the tweet saying that she was fraudulent, rigged, Democrat, woke, or whatever. She had released numbers that J.D. Vance was citing as an incredible example of how amazing the administration was. It was literally unemployment figures. She releases another unemployment figure which says something negative, and then she gets fired. And so he wants to replace her with this guy, which is a total ideologue, and also, as you mentioned, a Project 2025 co-author. That's really interesting to me because I was sworn to by all these different MAGA influencers, high-profile people that are now in the administration, Caroline Levitt, Trump himself, J.D. Vance, that Project 2025 was not the agenda of this administration, but it turns out it is because all the highest-up authors are not only going to private dinners with Trump, having all these wonderful events with Trump, like 6 or 7 of these guys have been appointed to senior positions. But that's not the only thing about this guy. This guy recently went on Steve Bannon's podcast to talk about how economic statistics need to be overseen by people that are Trump loyalists, him implying that he's one of those loyalists. You cannot trust any economic data that comes out of this administration from now on.
And do you want to quickly mention to our viewers the picture that he has behind him in his office?
Yeah, so we'll show the photo of this right now. So he made a video defending Project 25, as you do whenever you're an author of like the worst policy document ever. And his background image is really interesting. It is I believe, a World War II German vessel, in other words, a Nazi vessel. I wonder why you would proudly portray behind your desk the image of a ship that was used to kill Americans unless you were on their side, right? I mean, there's a lot of cool World War II ships that are American. Why choose a Nazi ship to parade behind you while you're recording these videos for public consumption?
Yeah, and he knows damn well that people are going to find out what this is. He knows that it's publicly broadcasted. He sort of wants people to see this, and so that's sort of the. This guy's not a clown. He's just a fascist. Like he's just a Nazi. That's sort of it. So, but we're going to finally, for the first time in American history, we're going to have political job numbers. We're going to have job numbers that are different based on who you ask. We're going to have economic data that's different depending on who you ask in
Well,
the
now they're saying they
administration.
might not even release job numbers.
Yeah.
Maybe monthly job numbers don't look so good because honestly, I think they're scared to release completely fake statistics because they know that all the businesses are going to really hate that, and they actually care about corporate America. That's
Well,
why
yeah.
whenever Liberation Day caused one of the fastest stock market crashes in the history of the United States, Trump
Yep.
paused his tariffs not because he wanted to, but because he had no choice. Because the American business class, the oligarchs, the billionaires said, we're not going to accept this. And I think they're scared of forging statistics. So instead, they're going to say, how about no statistics?
Yeah.
How about no data? And I just want people to think about this. If the data was positive, why do they not want it released to the public? No government stops releasing data if that data makes them look good.
Well, that's a great point. And also, the last thing I'll say is when you were talking about how before this person, the former head of job statistics that Trump appointed, before she was fired for saying something that he didn't like, him and JD Vance and the rest of the administration were like praising some of the job numbers. And it reminded me of when you just mentioned the tariffs thing, when he just, Liberation Day, which is meant to be the start of the golden age of America. It reminded me that when the economy crashed, he said it was Biden's economy. And then when the economy went up because he paused the tariffs, or sorry, not the economy, the stock market went back up because he paused the tariffs. He said, "Oh, sorry, now it's Trump's America." And then when the stock market went down again, he goes, "Now we're actually back to Biden's America." So it just like it doesn't matter like if the economy's doing well, he'll take credit for it. If it's not doing well, he'll just pass the buck off to Biden or Obama, or he'll blame whoever. It's never his fault. It's never his people's fault. It's always someone else's fault. This guy is like the king of not taking accountability, and that's where we are in 2025. We have political economic data and job statistics. Not a great sign
And
for the American
the,
democracy.
the remarkable thing is, even before all this happened, even before there like might be forging statistics in the future, they're already lying about what their own statistics said, just directly contradicting themselves. Because these people literally have no allegiance to truth, facts, decency, anything. I mean, it's literally insane what happens on a daily basis. And I'll give you one example. The White House tweeted yesterday that inflation was tracking at 1.9%. According to the website of their very own administration, the inflation was tracking at 2.7%. Is 2.7% and 1.9% the same figure? Not even close. By all accounts, inflation is accelerating. It's certainly over 2%. It's just another bold-faced lie. And my question to all the people that still support these guys is, how many times do you need to be disrespected? How many times do you need to be lied to? How many times do you need to be promised things that they have no intention of actually following up on before you start questioning what these guys' motivations actually are?
It's a great question. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer. Maybe next week we can get to the bottom of it. We'll be right back on America Matters next week at this time and day. Thank you so much for watching America Matters. My name is Sam Schwartz.
I'm Micah Irfan. Thanks, guys.